give me a few seconds. I'm gonna do the audio thingy on my laptop and then we can get started, okay? Hold on. Yep, I'm ready. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. What's up everyone? Welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel / my podcast. I am the marketing nomad. My name is Prithvi Madhukar. In this podeo, we're gonna be talking about how to let go of unrequited love. Oof, that's a big topic and I'm going to take my time with it. And of course, there are going to be timestamps in the description box as well. Alrighty, so let's get into the first part for me. I gotta tell you, the reason why I'm laughing is because the amount of times in my life that I have found myself in a one-sided situation, in unrequited love, it's ridiculous. It's come to a point where over the years, I've developed a process for me to let go of unrequited love or a one-sided situation that was not at all serving me. Like today, even if I sense a little bit of one-sidedness, yeah, I immediately go autopilot, I get out of it, and I have a very systematic process laid out for me to let go very gracefully of the situation as well as what I perceived to have happened in that situation, I guess I would say, yes. Anyway, for me, the reason why I wanted to record this podeo is because I've learned a lot of lessons when it comes to unrequited love, so much so that someday I am going to write a book about it, and I'm very sure about it. But, you know, I wanted to share my lessons as well as my experiences because I know that there are certain thoughts and feelings that might come up, especially when you are going through a phase where you've recognized it is unrequited love and you are trying to let go, and oftentimes it is a struggle. Whether you have a process or not, even if you've done it multiple times in your life like I have, it's still a struggle, and there is that discomfort, uneasiness, pain, unhappiness that comes along with it. So in today's podeo, my aim is to help you make your heart feel a little bit lighter, as well as give you a step-by-step process that has really worked magic for me. And of course, I gotta tell you, this process does take its own time, and as we are working through the steps, I do want to tell you that throughout this entire process, the most important thing is for you to be kind to yourself, for you to enter something that I like to call the no judgment zone, where regardless of the thoughts and feelings that are coming up, the emotions that you're feeling, there needs to be no judgment as you are moving through these steps. So that's a little bit of a side note that I do want to say, and of course we are going to get into, I guess, the pre-part of the podeo, which is, well, how have I in the past recognized it's unrequited love or it was a one-sided situation. So for me, and of course this is going to differ depending on your situation and very individualistic, but for me, some of the major moments that I recognized it was unrequited love was when there was some sort of energy block. You know, I would try to have conversations, but it would go nowhere, or something would just keep blocking me. I'd feel this weird invisible wall, and for me, that was always a sign of misalignment. Because, well, when it's unrequited love, if you want to talk about energy, and to me, energy is everything. When you talk about unrequited love, even if the person does have feelings for you, but they're not ready, or they don't have feelings for you, either way, there is an energy misalignment over there. And so because of that, there is that natural block because you are not at the same frequency, you're not at the same energy. And so for me, the minute I sense that block, it's pretty evident that I'm in a one-sided situation. And I guess for me, another way that I've always figured out that it was unrequited or it was a one-sided situation has been looking at my conversations with them. If it's just been always me starting the conversation or me continuing the conversation, but no efforts on their end, even though they could be enthusiastic while I was engaging with them. Yeah, the question that I keep asking myself at every given point, regardless of who I'm talking to, is this. Well, if I just did not reach out to them ever, what would the equation of our relationship be, whether it is friendship or any kind of relationship for that matter? And in my mind, if the answer is, well, it's going to go nowhere, it'll just be wherever it is, that usually is a big sign for me that it is one-sided and I'm the only one putting in the effort, or I'm the only one who feels something or wants something to happen over here. And so for me, that's actually been a very, very important question to make decisions when it comes to letting go of unrequited love. And just to reiterate, the question that I ask myself is, well, if I don't do anything, if I just stand still, what is going to be the equation of this relationship? And if the answer is, well, they're never going to reach out, it's never going to move forward, or I honestly don't think you're going to cross their mind at all, then yeah, that's usually a big sign that it is unrequited and it's time for me to get out of those situations. All right, so yeah, so that's how I personally recognize unrequited love or one-sided situations. And for me, I think when you recognize that you are in a one-sided situation or it is unrequited, I think that's the hardest part, recognizing it and making that decision to walk away or let it go. And we're going to get deeper into why it is important to let go when you recognize that it is unrequited. And so for me, the first reason that I can think of at this moment in time, and we're going to dig deeper into this as we get into the podeo, for me, the first reason is I think each one of us, we deserve reciprocity. I think we deserve the kind of love that we give. I really think that. And that love could come in different shapes and forms, but at the end of the day, I believe that we deserve the love that we give to the people around us, or even to that one person in particular. I believe each one of us, we deserve to be in a relationship where there is effort on both sides. I believe we deserve to be in a partnership where both of us want to work together and, build a life together. Or if you're not really at that stage, then just work together to figure things out and enjoy each other, feel that natural peace and joy that comes in a mutual relationship. I believe we deserve that. And I think for me, when I look back, one of the reasons why, and there have been a couple of times in my life when I've struggled to let go, the reason for that was lack of self-love. I did not believe that was a possibility, that mutual loving relationship. I didn't think that was a possibility for me. I struggled to believe that could happen, and frankly, I even struggled to believe that I deserved it. And so for me, I think the starting point of all of this would be to build on that self-love. That's very, very important. In the last 4 years, the importance of self-love has time and again proven to me how important it is. Like the entire basis of living a peaceful life, it starts from you. And it starts from you loving yourself enough to know that, all right, this person doesn't feel that way about me. And that's okay. That's completely on them. This person does not feel that way about me. So I'm going to find somebody who does. That's it, And so for me, coming to that point of saying, all right, well, this person does not feel that way about me, so I'm just going to go find somebody else who does, and coming to that point itself was a huge, huge journey for me, because First off, I didn't believe it could happen. I didn't believe that somebody could feel that way about me as I did for them. But it took a lot of working on my self-love to get to that point. And today I'm very proud of how far I've come. So today, even if a situation starts to feel one-sided, or I'm beginning to feel that block, that energy block, or if I answer the question the way that I previously spoke about, it's very, very peaceful thought process in my mind. It's like, okay, well, this person doesn't feel that way about me, and that's okay. But it doesn't mean that I have to stay in this situation. It means I can get out and find somebody who is going to reciprocate, because I deserve that. And so that has been a big shift in my mindset when it comes to unrequited love. And yeah, I'm actually very proud of that learning curve, because that took a lot of time, a lot of pain, a lot of anguish, and frankly, me making the same mistake over and over and over again for me to actually get it right today. So yeah, I just wanted to share that the thought process of not believing that you are deserving of it, the thought process of not being able to believe that it is a possibility, it's a natural thing. It generally does tend to happen, and that's why we hold on so tight to the unrequited love. But what I do want to say is that the more you work on your self-love, the more you keep telling yourself that I deserve to be with someone who A, loves me as much as I love them, and B, loves me as much as I love myself, and possibly, if that's, even in the spectrum, loves me more, though I don't think it's ever possible. You have to be the person who loves yourself the most. But if someone can come close to that, if someone can match that, then I believe that's the love that we should hold out for. That's the love that we should look for. This is what I truly believe. Okay, I'm a hopeless romantic. All right. But yeah, I guess one thing that I do want to say now that I picked up the topic of hopeless romantic, even though it wasn't on my script, but I think one of the reasons why I hung on so much to unrequited love back then was because I thought, being a hopeless romantic meant that I had to have faith that things would turn around, or they would magically fall in love with me, or someday they will wake up and see my worth and fall in love with me, and I had to wait up until that. And for me, reframing what I've understood the meaning of hopeless romantic itself was a process. Today, for me, being a hopeless romantic means that I believe in love, I believe in the power of love, and I believe that I deserve that love. For me, that is what is being a hopeless romantic. For me, being a hopeless romantic is no more about staying in situations which do not serve you, being in relationships that do not bring you peace. It's not that anymore. It's not about waiting for the person to appear into your life. No, all of that, it's a very different definition of being a hopeless romantic that I have today, which again took its time, took its evolution, and today it's me believing in the power of love, but me also recognizing that I deserve that love. And I hope you can feel that way about yourself too. All right, so now let's get into the steps that I do have for you. And there are quite a few, but we will go through them. I will take my time with this podeo, as I think I mentioned it before. And I want to make sure that the steps are clear and you too can follow along, right? So before we get into the first step, I've written over here, there is a 0th step. There is step 0 in all of this. And that step is to step back. Yeah. Not that step is to step back. You've got to set your boundaries during this time. And, the way that I see it, all right, especially when you are feeling something towards someone, there's a little bit of intoxication going on with your heart, right? And it's different when it's reciprocated, because then both of you are in that bubble and both of you have that energy aligning. And so you don't feel the lack of peace, or you don't feel unhappy about it. And that's what they call the honeymoon phase, right? And so that's okay. But when it is unrequited, when it is one-sided, what happens is your heart is intoxicated, theirs isn't. And right now, at the moment, your heart is taking the wheel, which of course means that you probably are not going to be making the best decisions for yourself at this point in time, right? Because again, that energy misalignment is going to give you that dissatisfaction, that lack of peace, that agitation, that frustration. And so when you have all of these emotions coming into you, again, even if you think that you are following your heart, you're not going to be making the best decisions at this point in time that are beneficial to you in the long term. And so I know that I said in one of the podios that life is all about following your heart, but there are exceptions to that as well. And so for this phase of you letting go, of you trying to move on from your requited love, what's very, very important at this point is for you to switch gears, is for you to allow your heart to give up control over the situation, and for the time being, let your mind take over. So it's kind of like you're driving on stick and you shift gears, you kind of move into a different zone. So for me, that's the first step. And to be able to do that, I have to take a step back from the situation. I have to shield myself, protect my energy from getting even more dissipated, because when you are in a one-sided situation, there is a lot of energy dissipation because you're constantly thinking about them, you're constantly getting frustrated that they're not reciprocating, there's a lot of agitation, there's lack of peace. Basically, there's just a lot of energy that's going out. And for me, in that moment of time, that energy is precious to me. I need that energy to be able to move on. So the first step that I always take, I guess I would call this the 0th step that I think is very, very important when you are trying to move on, is to take a step back, is to shield yourself. And of course, you can do this in any number of ways. If you and the other person, you've been on good terms and things have been normal, like friendship-wise normal with you, then maybe you might want to tell them, hey, I've got feelings for you and I need some time to take a step back. And if that person is a healthy person, they will completely understand. They will allow you to do that. Not allow, I guess I would say, but they would respect your decision and they also would take a step back. And of course, if they aren't a healthy person, first off, that's an absolute red flag and you should be running out of there immediately. But either way, setting that boundary for yourself is very, very important because your heart needs time. Your heart really needs time to heal. And of course, I found myself in this situation. This was a couple of years ago, quite some time, I think almost a decade ago, when I would tell myself, oh, but I don't want to hurt the other person. The fact is, and this is something that I've come to realize a little bit later, was at this point in time, you need to focus on yourself because very soon you won't even have that little bit of energy to give to anyone, and that is going to blow up in your face. And so you need to protect your energy first before you think about the other people around or how your energy is going to affect them, how your actions are going to affect them. So at this point in time, it's important to secure yourself, to take a step back. I always advocate for no contact, okay? At this point in time, you need to get out of the intoxication, and frankly, any interaction fuels the intoxication it does, because whatever it is that you're feeling now, it's not that I'm invalidating it, but I think that a part of it is based on what you project things could be, or what you assume, or I guess wish for things to turn out. And so you need that space, you need that block to get out of that, to start seeing reality for what it really is. And it's going to be very, very hard. I am not going to sugarcoat this at all. It's probably going to be the hardest thing that you do, taking a step back, shielding yourself, whether it is not seeing their profile, not engaging with their posts. If you're pretty active on social media, take a step back, not initiating conversations, just allowing yourself to be. And for me, something that I found helpful is every time I feel like reaching out or I feel like doing something, I immediately divert my attention towards myself. So if I feel like texting this person, what I would say is, well, what's one action that I can take for myself right now? And immediately I would go to maybe go for a walk or journal or even watch TV. You know, I just distract my mind in that moment of time when I feel like doing all of these things that I would have normally done. And basically what you're doing is you're breaking out of the habit as well. So there's a little bit of the concept of habit and the formation of it and breaking out of it that comes into place. So I believe that no contact is the best solution at this point in time. It gives you a great starting point. And of course, you're going to feel sad. Of course, it's going to feel very, very uncomfortable for the first couple of days. And I will say the first 30 days are going to be really, really hard. But the minute you hit day 31, you are going to feel a certain lightness about the entire situation that honestly you would never have felt. And of course, you know, the timeline is going to vary from person to person, but it does take that time. And again, that goes into habit forming and getting out of whatever actual biological intoxication that's happened because of the feelings of love, and just getting out of that, separating yourself from all of that. That's going to take some time to get it out of your system. So it takes a couple of days. I think they say 21 days for a habit to break a habit, or for a new habit to form. And you know, I'm just going to push that to 30. Usually around the 30-day mark, I start to feel a little bit lighter about the entire situation. But getting to that 30 point is always the hardest. And if you are in that state where you've listened to this and you've made up your mind that, okay, you know what, I am going to do this, I am going to start the no contact because it's really important for me to move on. And I gotta say, kudos to you, you know, absolutely hats off for making that decision. Every single time you feel the need to break it or you're feeling sad, I hope you can keep reminding yourself that the future you are walking towards, the idea of a reciprocal love, yeah, I guess I would say that, or a mutual relationship, you're moving towards that idea. And I believe, and I hope you can believe that for yourself as well, that is going to be infinitely better than what you are feeling right now. And the fact that you're moving towards that, I think it's important to have the hope first. And second, I also think it's important for you to believe that is a possibility, and that every step that you are taking right now, walking away from the situation that isn't serving you, is actually a step that you are taking towards that. And you know, that's at least something that I keep telling myself every time I feel, you know, oh, this is getting hard for me, I don't know why I'm doing this. Then I just remind myself of the future that I envision for myself. And I keep telling myself that even me standing still, not doing anything itself, is a step towards a mutually loving relationship, or a reciprocated relationship. I don't know if that made sense, but yeah, we're just gonna move past that, okay? So I know that you understood what I meant, so we're just gonna move past that. So the 0th step, and for the next few steps to work, it's very important that you shield your energy, you protect your energy, and for that you gotta take a step back, okay? And I highly recommend no contact, okay? And just as a side note, no contact is not, oh, don't talk to them for 30 days. No contact is for as long as you need it. You just go no contact until you feel safe and secure to reach out, until you feel that you can handle an interaction without being bothered by it, without being influenced by it, without being, I guess I would say, without being affected by it. Yeah, that would be no contact. So I can't tell you, oh, don't talk to them for 30 days or go no contact for 60 days. No, I don't think that's possible. It's just, it depends on you. It depends on the strength of your feelings. It depends on your situation as well. All right. So that was the 0th step for you. Now we're getting into the 1st step. So of course, at this point, you've recognized that, well, this is not what I want. And basically, when you're letting go of unrequited love, it is recognizing that this is not what you want, and recognizing that you deserve to be with someone who feels the same way about you. And so that recognition itself, I believe, is something that you need to be thankful for, because now you know that, well, this is not something that I want, and you can move towards what it is that you do want. And yeah, I know it sucks to know that the other person doesn't feel that way about you, but that clarity that you have at this moment in time, saying, no, I don't want unrequited love. I don't want to be in a situation where it's just me constantly giving. I don't want to be in this situationship where it's draining my energy or it feels one-sided. That clarity is something that you need to feel thankful for. And I think having that gratitude itself puts you in a much healthier mindset to deal with the entire situation, because now you know what you don't want. And that just makes it easier for you to work towards what you do want. And we talked about this in another podeo as well. Never, ever, ever underestimate the power of knowing what you don't want, because that itself is a foundation towards what you do want. And so I guess it's going to be very difficult. I'm not going to lie, okay? It's going to be very, very difficult to find gratitude in the situation, especially given how you are feeling in that moment of time. But, take the time to feel thankful that at least you know now what you don't want. At least you know now what you are looking for. And, you may have gained clarity based on your own thought process, or you may have asked for clarity. However you got the clarity, it's also important to be grateful for that. I'll give you an example. So there was this one time when it took me a little bit time, but one day I just sat with myself and I asked, well, if you were to never interact with them again, what would be the status? And if I would never initiate, I guess I would say, what would be the status? And the answer was, well, they actually don't care. They don't care. The only person who's been, handling this conversation and moving this conversation forward or being excited about this conversation is you. And so for me, that realization was really, really hard. But at the same time, I was so thankful for the growth that I'd had with respect to dealing with unrequited love. The fact that I could recognize it itself was such a victory for me, and I felt so grateful, so thankful for myself at that point in time, because at the end of the day, when you are walking away from an unrequited love or a situation that is one-sided or a crush that feels magnified, and I guess we could call it love, but it could also be a crush as well. When you find the courage, when you recognize it's time to walk away, or when you have that courage to walk away, that is massive levels of self-love. And I believe it's something that you have to be so, so, so proud of, okay? And if no one tells you this, then just hear it from me. Believe me, that is massive levels of self-love, and you should only be proud of being able to recognize that that situation was not serving you and you deserve better, So that would be the first point that I do have for you. Feel thankful for the clarity that you have now, because that clarity is what is going to take you to where you need to be. And where you need to be is a place where there is a mutually beneficial relationship, mutually loving relationship, being with a person who wants to work with you together to create a life, or to work with you to create a beautiful relationship. All right, we're running out of camera time, but give me a second. I'll just be back in 1 second. Yeah. Alrighty, so that's number one. That's the first step that I usually take, feeling grateful and thankful for the clarity that I do have right now, because I know it's going to take me to wherever it is that I want to be. Now, the second that is very important is you've got to accept what you feel. And this, I know it's going to be so cringe at some point where sometimes it could just be two interactions that you've had with them and you're stuck feeling all this massive feelings and you don't understand how, this 10 minutes that you spent with them is leading to so much. And yeah, it's probably going to be the most cringe face. I'm not even going to lie. But at the same time, it's important for you to accept whatever it is that you are feeling. To accept that, yes, it's probably a 10-minute conversation that happened, but yes, I'm stuck on them right now. Yes, I feel this way for them. And, this is what I'm thinking at the moment. This is what I'm feeling at the moment. And what I do want to say is you've got to get into the no judgment zone at this point, even though it's hard. I know it's so hard. And there have been so many times in my life, right since my teens, I've been so angry with myself, berated myself for having feelings for someone I just met, and, all of that. But today I know differently. Today I accept whatever it is. I know my heart's my heart, and it is what it is. That's it. That's basically what it is. You've got to give yourself that leeway. You've got to allow yourself to show up exactly as you are. And that means to accept whatever it is that you are feeling. It doesn't matter how long you are stuck on them or how long you've been trying to get them to fall in love with you, trying to make this work, whatever it is, regardless of how much of effort you've put in and did not get back, all of that at different points during this phase, you're gonna remember it and you're gonna feel a bit cringe about it. But the important thing is to accept that, yes, I did this. Yes, this happened. Yes, I started to like them. Yes, my feelings grew stronger. Yes. Just keep accepting whatever it is that you feel. And at this point in time, especially, you are going to have a lot of thoughts about the situation. You are going to have a lot of your feelings coming out. And all I want to say is allow them to come. Allow them to, I guess I would say, finish the entire thought. That's your mind actually processing what happened and finding ways to get you out of it. The minute you suppress, and I've done this before actually, that's how I know so well that it does not work, and it actually comes back much more powerful later, and that's just a big mess that you don't really want to get into. And so you've got to work through whatever it is that you are feeling right now. And the only way to work through them is to actually feel them in their entirety. So it's okay if you're going to the supermarket and randomly something reminds you of them, or you're missing them, or something reminded you of them, like you saw a meme that you wanted to send to them but you can't, and that feeling of sadness that you have in that moment of time. Don't suppress whatever it is you're feeling. I cannot emphasize on this enough. In that moment of time, it can be a little bit frustrating, like, why am I thinking of this person? I'm supposed to be moving on, and you might have these thoughts, but I do want to say that it is natural. This is your heart and your mind learning how to let go. So you've got to give them that space to let go. And the way that they let go is by working through them, by processing through them. So time and again, you are going to catch these thoughts, and frankly, it's going to be very frequent in the beginning, and then slowly, trust me on this, slowly as time goes by, as your mind and your heart is working through things and slowly finding its way to heal, it's going to become less frequent, and at some point you're just going to wake up one day and realize you feel nothing. But it's a process to get there. It takes a lot of patience, but more importantly, it takes allowing whatever it is you're feeling to just run its course, I guess I would say. Okay, so don't be upset with yourself if you find recurring thoughts. Actually, sometimes even when you're sitting by yourself, you're having these thoughts about them. Allow them to flow. Don't block them. Don't try to, I guess I would say, suppress those. Don't berate yourself. Now, it's different that wait, hold on. I want to say something. Okay, so it's okay for you to feel it, but you don't have to act on it. And if you feel that you are about to act on it, that's when you distract yourself. Okay, I just want to put that clarity out there. Just because you feel something does not mean you have to act on it. When you feel something, let yourself feel it, but don't act on it, especially during this period of time Don't act on it. I've made that mistake. I can't even tell you how many times, but a lot of times. A lot of times. And it took me like a couple of grave situations that I found myself in and a lot of pain to realize that just because you feel something does not mean you have to act on it. But at the same time, you've got to allow yourself to feel. But if that feeling is starting to become action, like you want to take action towards them, yeah, that's when you have to divert your attention. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that point. But allowing yourself to feel is a very, very important part of this entire process, and accepting whatever it is that you are feeling. And time and again, these thoughts, whatever they are, as frustrating as they may be, allow them to flow. The more you allow them to flow, the more your mind processes them, and actually the faster you can get out of it. But the more you suppress them, you're delaying that processing. So naturally, your mind is going to take longer for you to get out of that situation. So you will still get over it, but it will take you longer. So what is it that you do want? I guess I would ask at this point, okay? So accept whatever it is you feel, have no judgment, be extremely kind and patient to yourself. I'll probably say this like multiple times throughout this podeo, but it's very, very important, okay? All right. So that is step number 2 for you. Now we are going to get into step number 3. So as you are accepting what you feel, as you are understanding your thoughts and your feelings, one of the things that might start to occur at this point, and actually I don't want to say might because it definitely will, would be to get into the mindset where you think there is something wrong with you. And this has happened to me so many times. Like, I gotta tell you, every time I look at my past selves, like different versions of my past self, I just have so much of love for them, because the amount of things that they were going through at that point in time was just, yeah, they were doing the best that they could. And one of the most, I guess, strongest thoughts that I can remember at this point is, one, thinking that there was something wrong with me when the other person did not reciprocate my feelings. And number 2, there was also this strong urge for me to become the person that they wanted. And number 3, to also beg and stick around, hopefully that they will see how amazing I was and then change their mind about me. These are 3 things that I am absolutely guilty of doing, and I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, at some point you too may have done that as well. And I gotta say, all of those 3, it just is, it's not fair to yourself. That's what I want to say. And if I could go back in time and talk to my past self, this is what I would say. It's not fair to yourself. It's not fair to let go of the person that you are and try to become what someone wants. That's not what love is. Love finds you as you are. Love accepts you as you are while giving you the space to evolve, not transform into a completely different person. Evolution is a part of love, but not transformation. I think that's something that I do want to say. And love finds you as you are, regardless of that quirkiness things that you do have, or the silly things that you do, the chaos that you bring sometimes. Whatever it is, whatever your eccentricities and your quirkiness, all of that, love finds you as you are. That is very, very important to understand. And if you feel that you need to become a certain way for them to be with you, then that's not love. And frankly, you don't deserve that. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to the other person as well, right? Don't you think they deserve to be with someone who naturally fits in with what they want, rather than someone who is struggling to become a different person just so that they can be with them? I don't think it's fair to them. I don't think it's fair to you either. So for me, transforming into a different person, and I've been guilty about doing this as well, becoming a completely different person, completely shifting my personality just so that person could align with me or, have those feelings for me. It wasn't fair to me. It wasn't fair to the other person as well. So what I've come to, have the thought process about this is I'm going to be just the way I am, okay? And yes, I'm constantly evolving, but the person that I am today is how love will find me. And it takes certain level of belief and trust that love finds you as you are. It really does. And that's where I've come to. And I hope you can feel that way about yourself. Yes, love allows space for evolution, but first, love finds you as you are. All right? And so when you find yourself trying to become a different person, that's a big, big no. That's a big sign that this is not where you are supposed to be. And the further you go down that line, you can absolutely keep doing that. But the further you go down that line, there will always be a misalignment with the person that you are and the person that you are forcing yourself to be. And because you are forcing yourself to be someone else, you're never going to feel good about however it is that you're showing up. And it just leads to even more bigger problems, because how long are you going to keep up the charade? That's all I'm going to say. How long are you going to keep up the charade? A month, 2 months, 3 months, and then what? At some point, you are going to revert back to your natural personality, the person that you are. And so that's when, things go absolutely haywire and it goes out of control. So you might as well take a step back when you feel that there is a need for you to change into a completely different person or be someone else for someone else. Yeah. I don't know how that sentence went, but I hope it made sense. Okay, and sometimes you may have the other person asking you to be someone different so that they can fall for you. Big red flag. Okay, big, big, big red flag. And if you've walked away from someone like that, I gotta say, kudos to you. Yeah, good decision there, okay? But there's a difference between accepting, or I guess wanting to evolve together with someone. There's a difference between that and asking someone to completely change who they are just so that they could align with the other person. There's a lot of difference in that. We'll probably get into a different podeo with this topic, but yeah, so understanding that difference is also key. All right, so stay true to yourself regardless of how strong the need is to become someone else. And when it comes to begging someone to be with you or constantly going after their attention, what I do want to say is, what's the story? What's the story that you do want to have for yourself when it comes to this? And this is something that I've asked myself all the time. And we talked about this in another patio, right? So for me, I always ask myself, well, what's the story? Is the story going to be, well, I begged and begged and begged this person to step into my life, and finally he did. And by the time he did, or they did, I guess, I was emotionally, physically, mentally drained, and I could not contribute to the relationship, and then it just disintegrated. Or there was just so much of resentment built up inside me because of how much I had to beg and just crawl after them or whatnot. Or do I want the story to be, well, I met someone and things just flowed. They wanted to work on this as much as I did. They felt the same way about me that I did about them. And, yes, maybe there were a few hiccups along the way, there were a few bumps, but just finding that natural flow with someone, that's the story, right? That's the story that I wish for myself, and I wish for you too. And I hope you can wish that story for yourself as well. So it's like, what's the story that you do want? And for me, this question has changed the way that I show up for every aspect of my life. It's not just this. And every time you find yourself in a situation where it's one-sided, ask yourself, what's the story? And that itself will give you clarity about what your next steps should be. And when it comes to the other point that we talked about, a reflection of who you are, frankly, I used to struggle a bit talking about unrequited love, because I thought that me not being loved by someone or many people was a reflection of who I was, or it meant that I was not lovable, or I could not be loved, and that there was something wrong with me. This was a narrative that I had in my mind for a very, very, very long time in my life, actually. And it took me only a couple of years to reframe that they have their own free will. They have their own preferences. They have their own choice. They have their own wants and desires for the kind of person that they want to be with. And if that does not align with who I am, that's not a reflection of the kind of person I am or whether or not I am capable of being loved. No, it's completely different things. It's just, I'm not their choice, and that's okay. Tomorrow, I will be someone's choice, someone's natural first choice, and that's what I want to gravitate towards. And I can't be their first choice because, well, they have their own free will and I have to respect that. And so for me, it was a process of understanding this. And I think with this mind shift, I was able to be, I think, understanding when the other person would tell me, no, I don't feel this way about you, or when I understood that they didn't feel that way about me. And I think that itself helped me let go a lot more gracefully, just knowing that, well, it's their free will, their choice, and I can't beg them, I can't force them to do something that is beyond what they want for their life. And I guess I also want to say that at every given point, everyone perceives that they're doing the best for themselves, right? And so whatever they envision for themselves, like the person that they want to be with, it's what they believe is best for them, what they believe will bring them the natural peace, joy that they want to feel. And it's okay that it's not me. I will gravitate towards someone who feels that I am their natural first choice, who feels that natural peace and joy with me, just as I will feel for them as well. Hold on, we are running out of battery space, so give me a second. Hey, back. Okay, so one of the things that I caught myself saying at this point was, well, I'm the best option for them. Why can't they see that? And the more I grew older, the more I recognized that the thought process actually was flawed. And the reason is this. Why you feel that you are the best for them is because there is a bit of projection that is going on. You are envisioning them to be reciprocating, and that's how you can continue showing them that energy, that love, so on and so forth. And so there's a little bit of wishful thinking that's coming into that place, especially when you say the sentence that I'm the best that they could get, or they're never going to find someone who can love them as much as I do, and so on and so forth. But the love that you have for them at this moment in time, on some level, okay, is based on wishful thinking that they reciprocate. And so it's a bit hard, and I know the truth stings a little bit, but this is where that taking a step back really helps, and shielding yourself, protecting your energy, because now you are trying to fully focus on what's actually happening. And the truth is, okay, this could actually be a big possibility that if you accepted reality that they are not reciprocating, and you just keep giving your energy again and again and again, and it's just one-sided throughout, at some point you are going to find yourself completely drained of your energy. Not just that, because of that constant energy misalignment that you keep putting yourself in every time you interact with them, it's going to build natural frustration with you, natural agitation, irritation, and just that lack of peace. And frankly, at some point, that negative energy that develops because of that misalignment is something that you will keep putting into yourself. So at some point, that's going to develop into resentment. That at some point, that's going to develop into you constantly being the person who nags or, keeps trying to put your thoughts, your needs, your wants across, and of course you're not going to be heard, right? Because, well, they don't feel that way about you. So there's no aspect to them that wants to naturally give what you want or what you desire. And so because of that, because your needs are not being heard or met, again, you're going to keep telling it again and again and again. And that itself, the other person perceives as nagging. And at some point, you're going to look at yourself in the mirror and wonder, well, what's the person I've become? And that, I think, is the usual path that goes on when you find yourself in an unrequited situation and you keep pursuing it. And you may, in that moment of time, sometimes get the other person to agree temporarily to be with you. But at the end of the day, the story always ends up the same because there is the bottom line of energy misalignment. The story, it could go different ways. It could take different timelines, I guess. It could, do I want to say timeline? I guess I would say different length of time. Yeah, it could take a different length of time. It could have its own ups and downs, but the bottom line, the moral of the story at the end of the day, because there is an energy misalignment through an extended period of time, you are not going to feel good at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, even giving whatever love that you perceive you could have given at that point in time, no, let's be honest, no. When that resentment keeps building up, at some point, you're not going to have the energy left to even give love, not even to yourself for that matter, right? And so what you perceive, oh, no one could have loved them better than I do, it's not true. It doesn't hold true. Because you are perceiving the love that you're giving to be reciprocal, like they will give it back to you. No, but if you keep giving and giving and giving, you're going to run out of it, right? And that is the bottom storyline that you're going to end up. So it's not true. The person who is with them that can give them that reciprocal love is the person who can love them the best. Okay, I'm going to repeat that because I don't think I said it very well. The person who can give them that reciprocal love is the person who can love them the best. And I think understanding this for me brought me so much of peace of mind, because if I could feel that way about someone else, then the story that I wished for myself was the person who can give me the reciprocal love that I give them is the best for me, which means this person, whoever is there, is not. It's just as simple as that. It's logic, right? And so for me, understanding that brought a lot of peace to me. And frankly, breaking that illusion that I'm the best, that it's not I'm the best. I think that comes a little bit from the ego. For me, it was more saying that no one could ever love them the way that I do, so why can't they see that? And, understanding that that was not true, that was actually not on the basis of reality, was quite a bit of a journey, but at the same time brought me so much peace that the person that is best for them is the person who can offer reciprocal love for them, like who feels the same way as they do for them. That's the best for them. And what's best for me is a person who can reciprocate what I give them, who can naturally reciprocate what I give them without the whole me demanding for it or me building up the resentment that my needs were not being met, so on and so forth, all right? So that's one illusion that I hope to break with this podeo. Then we are getting into the fourth step. Now the fourth step is a little bit different, and it's more about, I guess, an extension of you accepting what you feel. So for me, the fourth step usually is identifying what exactly I liked about them, what exactly drew me to them. And for me, this is more about understanding myself as a person. What exactly are my preferences? Because with every person that you meet, okay, and possibly end up in a situation where it's unrequited or it's one-sided, there's usually something that you liked about them, and maybe that actually tells you more about yourself. Maybe that's something that you want to add to your list for the person that you are looking for, who's going to give you the same that you give back. And that's actually something that I've taken away from different unrequited situations that I found myself in. Like, okay, I liked this aspect, and so I'm gonna, kind of keep that as, keep an open mind towards that. Or if there was a quality that I never even thought was actually impactful or mattered to me, and suddenly the entire situation taught me that, oh wait, that quality is important, or not having that quality is very, very important to you, so on and so forth. Even that has helped me understand myself better in terms of what it is that I'm looking for. So use that situation as a way to figure out what you are looking for, because like I've always mentioned, sometimes it's hard to know what exactly you do want, but it's through these little situations, these little interactions, or these little experiences where, okay, it might not be little, okay, sometimes it can be really, really big. I'll give that to you, okay? But it's through these experiences that you say, oh, okay, well, here's something new that I learned about myself, or here's something different that I did, and, try to understand where that came from, or try to see how that entire experience can make your life better in some shape or form. So for me, the way that I take away from all of these situations is, okay, well, this is what I liked in that person, so maybe that's something that I would want to search for in my life partner, or so on and so forth. And, just moving into that positive mindset, being grateful for them for stepping into your life, because again, I don't know if I should talk about this because it's a huge topic on its own, soul contracts, okay? And we'll probably get into that in another podeo. But for me, I believe that we sign contracts with souls even before we are, here, physically here. I believe that we don't meet people by accident. No two souls meet by accident. Even that random person that you meet on the street, every single thing is orchestrated. Single thing has been written in a contract beforehand. We'll get into this a little bit deeper in another podeo. I just want to lightly touch upon this topic. But for me, that person entering my life, I'm grateful because they taught me something. That was part of my soul contract. I signed with them before I was even here. They were meant to teach me something, or I was meant to learn something about myself through them, through that experience. And that's how I perceive it. So that's a little bit, not a little bit, way too deep into spirituality, and we're not going to get into that. But I think the bottom line that I do want to say is just having that gratitude for the person for teaching you something that you needed to learn about yourself, or something that you needed to know about your likes, your dislikes, or something that you just had to learn for your soul growth. Yeah, even that. Just being grateful for the person. And I gotta say, you can be grateful for the lessons, you can be grateful for the person, and yet not have them back in your life, okay? I just want to say they're not two different things, basically. So you can have both of those situations happening at the same time. So gratitude, very, very different from allowing that person back into your life. Okay, so for me, how I want to wrap this point up is, for me, I just view these situations as a way to get to know myself better. Yes, it's gonna hurt. Yes, it is very, very painful. Yes, there are times when I feel so lousy about everything that's going on. But at the same time, I think that these experiences were something that I was meant to go through so that I could learn something about myself. And just using that as a way to move towards what I want has been something that I've put into my process, and it's helped me quite a bit, okay? Now we're getting into the fifth point, and this is something, it's probably gonna be the toughest thing. It is to focus on yourself. Every time you feel that your feelings are starting to move to action, like you want to reach out to them, or you want to text them, or you want to send them a meme, or you just want to interact with them in some way, you just want to accidentally but on purpose meet with them in some mall or something of that sort. We've all done that, okay? Every time you feel that your feelings are getting into action mode, focus on yourself. Shift that focus completely on yourself. For me, given the amount of times that I've had to walk away from unrequited situations, this has become absolute second nature to me. Like the minute I feel that energy misalignment, I recognize, okay, whoops, I'm giving my energy to the wrong thing, which is the other person who does not feel that way about me. And it's time to focus on myself, to bring back that energy to myself, to realign to myself. And that has been one of the most important things that have helped me move on. I've got to be very, very honest with you. This part is the most important thing. You know, you can take a step back, you can feel grateful, you can do all of those things. But if you are not focusing on yourself during this period of time, yeah, it's not going to be much help. It's really not going to be much help. You're not going to be able to let go. The point of letting go is because there is a misalignment of that energy. And so there's that excess energy, that feelings that you have for that person that needs to go somewhere, right? And what do you do with that energy? You can either pour it into that person or you can pour it into you. Pouring into that person is going to be detrimental to your mental, emotional, and of course physical health at some point. So you'd rather focus that energy back to you. For me, energy is everything, okay? I love talking about energy. We're gonna talk a lot about energy on this channel. Anyway, back to the point. So for me, that's how I look at it. That I have all of this excess energy, the feelings, whatever it is. At the end of the day, it's energy, right? I have all of this excess energy. And so I'm going to put it into myself, focus that energy back to myself, whether it is, you know, every time I feel like reaching out, maybe I go for a walk, or every time I'm feeling sad, I journal, I meditate, I take some time to, you know, spend time with my friends, to put myself in situations where I feel peace, that natural peace. But at the same time, it could be different for you. So find what works for you. But the main idea is focus on yourself, because whatever it is that you're feeling, the universal truth is that it will fade over time. But it fades faster if you're not paying attention to it. So how do you not pay attention to it? By focusing on yourself. Okay, this is probably Einstein's theory in the working, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. It will fade over time. It is the universal truth. But how do you want that experience to be? You know, do you want it to be where you're cognizant of every second of it fading? And frankly, if you keep looking at the clock, you're not going to see the needle move, right? And so you've got to shift that focus. And the best person to shift that focus to is yourself. And I've made this mistake before, okay? You don't shift it to another person. That's very, very wrong, because again, you're going to end up in the same loop. You've got to shift it back to yourself. All right, so I just wanted to put that out there because again, made that mistake, okay? And that's even more detrimental because you've not even processed your feelings for this, and then you're just hopping to putting yourself in the same cycle again. And then, yeah, that's gonna get very, very messy very, very fast. So you've got to shift that focus to yourself so that it fades faster when you shift your focus. And I guess it's important, and I tell myself all the time, especially when I'm in this period where I have to let go of unrequited love, unrequited situations. What I tell myself is trust the process. Trust that it is fading, okay? Whether or not you can see it. And honestly, just because you can't see it happening does not mean it isn't happening. This is, I guess, again, another universal truth. And for me, it's like, okay, just trust that it's happening. Trust that, you know, working through your feelings, accepting your feelings, and focusing on yourself. Just trust that over time it will fade. And honestly, the more you focus on yourself, the more you get out of it faster. All right. And then the last step that I do have for you is after you feel you're in a safe place, in the sense that you feel comfortable with having moved on and there's been, you know, time passed, you worked through your feelings, you've got out of whatever it is that you're feeling, then it's on to you. I mean, you can decide whether you want to reach back out to them and be friends, or you want to just move on. Completely up to you. That's your decision to make. All right. So, but it's important to do that only after you have moved on from that experience. And the way that I see it, how you know that you've moved on is when you interact with them and you're unbothered. You're just talking like you would to a friend, or you feel like you would a friend. And so that to me is a sign that I've moved on. And then you can make your choice whether you want to move on, whether you just want to continue things the way that it is in no contact, or you want to reach back out and have them in your life as a friend. So that's on you, completely your choice, but that's usually the last step, and that happens after everything. All right. And so a few things that I do want to say, kind of like final thoughts that I do have for you, is the first is matters of the heart. They're not a math problem. All right, I can't tell you, well, it's going to take this amount of time for you to move on, or when you do this, then this things will magically, A plus B equals to C, it's just going to sit right. No, it's not. Okay, matters of the heart, not a math problem. But what I do want to say is, when you allow what you are feeling, when you accept what you are feeling, and when you focus on yourself, these are 3 key steps. Okay, when you do these 3, it just, in my perspective, gives you the simplest and the most peaceful way to let go gracefully. And I think that's the best way there is. You can let go in different ways. You can let go with anger, you can let go with grace, you can let go with resentment. But to me, letting go peacefully and in a way that benefits me at the end of it, I think that's just the best way to go. Okay, so this is my entire process. And another thing that I want to tell you is, throughout this entire process, you've got to be kind and patient with yourself. That is absolutely key. And you've got to enter something that I call the no judgment zone. Whatever it is that you're feeling, allow it to happen. Allow it to just, flow on its own. Don't stop it. Don't berate yourself. Don't, wonder why you only met them for 10 minutes and now you're stuck on them. Don't wonder all of those things. Just accept that this is where you are at. Like I said, it's not a math problem that I met them for X minutes today and I should have Y amount of feelings for them. No, it doesn't work that way, And so just allow whatever it is that you're feeling, accept whatever it is that you're feeling, and number 3, focus on yourself as you move past it. And for me, I think, and we can talk about this in another podcast as well. For me, closure it comes from you. It always comes from you. You can want them to validate your feelings. You can want the other person to say, oh, well, I'm sorry, I didn't feel this way. You can want all of those things, but at the end of the day, closure has to come within you. And how do you get that closure? By accepting that it is what it is. This is how it is. They don't feel that way about you, and that's nobody's fault. It's not yours, it's not theirs either. You shouldn't hold it against them, but instead you should just focus on yourself and walk away from what is not serving you, this whole one-sided thing. And that itself gives you the space to bring in whatever it is that you deserve for your life, which is reciprocal love. All right. So yeah, that's how I want to end this podio. If you like this podio, do give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, because that tells you every single time I do upload a YouTube video as well as a podcast. Other than that, I am the author of 2 books. My first book is 0 to 4 Figures, Lessons Learned by a Broke CEO. Spoiler alert, the broke CEO was me 4 years ago. In that book, there are 61 stories and lessons that are part of my digital entrepreneurship journey. I talk about different topics like self-love, relationships, business strategy, marketing, positive mindset, growth mindset, success mindset, and so on and so forth. My next book is Self-Loved. It is a compilation of 1,000 journal prompts, and it talks about topics like healing, growth, and self-discovery. There's also stuff like manifestation, inner child healing, trauma healing, emotion management, gratitude, reflections, so on and so forth. Other than that, if you did like this video, please do leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts, your experiences. I would love to hear your experience. I would love to hear your thoughts as well. If you want to catch me on another platform, I'm there on Instagram at The Marketing Nomad as well. So of course, my wrap up would be a tiny special message for you. What I do want to say, and if I could go back in time, I think this is what I would tell my younger self as well. You deserve a love that feels natural to the both of you. You deserve a love that flows. You deserve a love that puts you in a peaceful energy because it just is two-sided. You deserve a love that matches your energy. I really believe that. I think each one of us, we deserve a love that shows us how powerful love can be. And like I said, love finds you as you are. You don't have to become a different person for you to find love. But at the same time, it's important to walk away from whatever is not serving you so that you can find that kind of love. That's very, very important. And I know it's going to be so hard. I know it's so hard to walk away, to let go of what you perceive things could be, or to walk away from whatever it is that you are feeling. I know it's so hard. It's really, really hard. But at the same time, I hope you can trust that what you deserve is coming. I hope you can trust that by walking away from something that is one-sided is only going to make space for something that is mutual, you know? And that's how I perceive it. I mean, I've been through so many of them. Like I said, I'm probably going to write a book about it someday. But at the same time, the reason why I'm able to have this kind of a healthy attitude towards it is because for me, one, I understand that it is not a reflection of who I am as a person. It's not a reflection of how lovable I am. It's just the other person didn't feel that way about me, and that's okay. That's okay. I learned my lessons from that, and I walked away. And by walking away, I know that I'm just going closer to what is meant for me. And what is meant for me can never be one-sided. What is meant for you can never be one-sided. What is meant for you will always be something that naturally flows into your life, that gives you that natural peace and joy. And until you find that, don't give up, okay? Don't give up. And by not giving up, I mean walk away from things that don't feel that way. Walk away from things that feel one-sided, that feel that energy block that I said, that feel misaligned. Walk away from all of that. That is what I think is not giving up. And I guess, I'm just looking down at my notes. It's important to believe. I think throughout this entire process, the underlying thing that I hope you can take away is believe that you are worthy of being with someone who feels the same way as you do. You are absolutely worthy of it. You are absolutely deserving of a love that makes you feel loved. That's what I want to say. And I that's what I hope to have gone back in time and told my younger self as well. And so I really hope you can believe that for yourself first, because the journey of finding your person or your life partner, or however you want to take it. I mean, we can have all of these different terms for it, but at the end of the day, finding the person who makes it feel effortless, the journey to that is believing that it exists and believing that you are deserving of it. It really starts with that. And if you are here, I know that you are in pain. I know that. I know absolutely that if you've clicked on this video, there's a part of you that's in pain, that's really struggling. And I want to say that I see you. I see whatever it is that you're going through. And I know that you have the strength, you have the courage to move on from what is not serving you. I know you have the courage to walk away from what is not meant for you. The fact that it's one-sided, it shows it's not meant for you. You are meant for something that is mutual. You are meant for the love that you give. You are meant for the kind of love that brings you peace, joy, and happiness. Okay? And for that, it's a little bit of a storm that you have to push through, and probably you'll have to push through it multiple times. And all I want to say is trust, believe, and don't give up. Keep walking away from what is not serving you, because at some point you'll end up with what does serve you, what brings you that natural peace. And frankly, walking away from what you don't want, what is not aligned to you, what you are not deserving, actually is you taking steps towards what you do deserve. And what you do deserve is an actual love story, you know, a story where you can feel and experience how powerful love is when it just flows from both sides. All right, so that's what I want to say, and I guess the special message also is for me right now. So yeah, kind of take it as something that's coming from a friend. I do want to say, you know, when you do find the kind of love that we've talked about in this podeo, if you don't mind, you know, share it in the comment section below. I really think that will give hope to all of us around here, me included as well. And if I find, you know, the love that, well, I deserve, then yes, I too also will do that as well. And I think that's a little bit of positivity that all of us are sharing with each other. And of course, you are welcome to share your experiences, your thoughts as well. And yeah, that's basically it. I wish you all the very best, and I know you have the courage and the strength to do what is most aligned to you and to walk towards what you deserve. Okay? Thank you so much for listening all the way up until here. I'll catch you in my next podeo. Bye-bye.